Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Katie. Thanks for
Hey.
having me on today.
Yeah, thank you. We're really looking forward to learning more about the Misty SoM and, of course, getting to know more about you, your team's role within it, and, of course, the collaboration you're doing with Renesas. But before we even get into all of that, I want to introduce the company. MistyWest is an engineering design consultancy that exists to create an inclusive and prosperous global community enabled by technology with a focus on projects that advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The core areas of expertise include optics, embedded vision, AWS, Azure, IoT, low power electronics, Bluetooth, Wi Fi, cellular, and satellite. Their services include engineering design, embedded systems, specialized research, industrial and UX design. And I know you guys have a lot more under that capability as well. Um, I just grabbed like the main like bullet points. So if you have any more to add to that, I've known you guys for a long time, especially since with the hardware and IoT community. So I know you guys do a lot more than kind of like those bullet points.
Yeah, no, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. I don't know what else to add, really, other than to say, we offer engineering services for product development. If there's something you want to measure, if there's some place where you need data and you need hardware to get that data, we're a good company to come and talk to.
Fair, sure. Yeah, definitely. A lot of great projects in their portfolio. So if you guys haven't seen it already, you can go visit MistyWest.com. They are also have all of the social media accounts. You can hit them up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. But enough about Misty West now, because for you today, we have Taylor Cooper, the CEO of Misty West. I'm going to run down a brief overview of what I was able to stock from your information. So, what I was able to capture was a mentor with the Creative Destruction Lab in Vancouver. I know that's a pretty multi-branched organization. He has a decade of work experience in mechanical engineering, product development with an expertise in design for manufacturing, engineering validation and testing, automation, robotics, and computer vision. What else am I missing from your
That's
resume?
pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I've been working in product development for like 15 years now. Kind of obviously started out as an engineer, eventually did some sales work, and eventually ended up leading Misty West. Though I'm not really a CEO, I'd say we're a holacratic organization. So unlike CEO light, I'm the person with the closest job title to CEO, I guess you could say.
Got it. Yeah, gotta just keep up with the rest of the kind of lingo, I guess.
Yeah, it's another conversation we can have.
Fair enough. All right, well, remember to book another conversation for that one. And then with enough about you now, we are now here with the Misty SOM. So another brief overview. We will preface by saying that the Misty SOM is available right now as a pre-launch campaign on GroupGets. The overview of the Misty SOM is that it is a new and unique low-power computer vision SOM in partnership with the Renesas Electronics. The features of this device include a reduction in charge cycles, reduced bandwidth requirements, and thanks to its low power requirements and built-in AI capabilities, it can solve challenging power problems in IoT environments. So this is what we're here to talk about today, to get into all the fine details of what you can expect if you back this campaign, all the applications, how it was made, and of course, since this is the Misty SoM is still in a pre-launch campaign, there will be more videos, there will be more articles coming out about it, so you can know more about this device that will be coming out soon. I think for our first question, I'm just going to hit it up with, tell us about Misty West, more about your experience within Misty West and why you're building the Renesas SOM.
Yeah, great question. So, I think traditionally we're a services business. We help people build IoT devices. And as you all know, towards the end of the pandemic, Chipmageddon struck, and a lot of our customers and clients were just not able to find the parts that they needed to build their products. And so we were in a situation where we really couldn't help them because there just wasn't anything available. NXP, Broadcom, to some extent NVIDIA, a lot of these solutions were just kind of going end of life early or having lead times out beyond 52 weeks. We had several people contact us to say, hey, can you do something about this IoT hub? And we already had an existing client base of people working in the computer vision space. So we had to look around to see who was less impacted by the chip shortage. And one name really popped out, and that was Renesas. They have a multi-fab situation, so they work with Samsung. They also work with TSMC, and they also have fab in Japan that they maintain themselves. So their SoCs really were not where they were available, whereas NXP had a lead time that was way out beyond a year. So we're not the only ones who jumped on this bandwagon. I think if you look at other SOM manufacturers, you'll see them either releasing or starting to release Renesas part lines as a result of this. But we decided, we were going to start building a SOM to really address those problems from our clients. And since we've started doing that, there've been a whole bunch more conversations that have come out, and we've decided to launch a GroupGets campaign to basically open this up to the world and put it out there so more people can get access to it. We're specifically building the first version based on the Renesas RZ V2L. And that's a computer vision based SOM. But the other reason to select that solution is because there's a pin compatible lower cost version, the RZ G2L. And you can think of it as kind of a pretty standard system on a chip solution. It's kind of comparable to a Raspberry Pi in a lot of ways. It can do a lot of the same things. So we're looking to build basically a minimal footprint, low cost SOM that'll be appropriate in a lot of applications. And we're going to support it with a carrier board as well, so that you can grab it and get going.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's you guys have definitely chosen one of the most ambitious times to release a new product with all those components that are needed, like you mentioned with the chipocalypse. So really heavy, congratulations to you and your team, especially with partnering with Renesas as well.
Yeah, thank you.
And one of the earlier articles that was written about the MistySOM was by Hackster, specifically James Lewis, or also known as Bald Engineer. He quotes, or that he states what the MistySOM is quote, 50% of the power, 100% of the compute power of the Jetson Nano. So what does this mean, and how does this encapsulate the feature set of the MistySOM?
Yeah, so a great way to think about if this SoC or this SOM is going to be good for your application is, are you doing computer vision that requires intelligence at the edge? And are you currently using the Jetson Nano or something similar to that, or a Raspberry Pi compute module? Because we're going to stack up pretty well in those situations. The difference between what we have and, say, the Jetson Nano is that the Jetson Nano is a general processing unit, so it has a GPU built on it, and you can use that to do computer vision. It'll have slightly better software and firmware support. What we have has a neural processing unit, so a dedicated part of silicon that basically is great at running computer vision algorithms. So if you want to do object detection or image segmentation, you can basically train your algorithm in TensorFlow. You could do it in SageMaker on AWS. You can do it on your laptop. You can output an ONNX format, and then there's a trainer or a conversion tool that will convert that ONNX format to a binary that can be uploaded to this chip, and it will run that. So one of the things we did at Embedded Vision this year was demo a comparison of that NPU against the Jetson Nano. And usually it's below 50% of the power consumption. And the reason for that is because the GPU is general purpose, whereas an NPU is dedicated for really specific type of linear algebra operations needed to do this kind of edge compute. So it doesn't have to move information around as much, and as a result, it's much more efficient. So for comparison, Jetson Nano, you need a big heatsink on top of it. This thing can run with like a no heatsink whatsoever. So it's pretty significant power savings, and it has about the same number of teraflops. So if you're thinking battery-powered computer vision at the edge, this is a great option for you.
Got it. No, and I'm glad you mentioned that you guys went to Embedded Vision, that conference. How was that? Like, how was that experience there? And especially to not necessarily debut the MistySOM, because I know you guys have been running with this for a while, but to kind of present it and to show at that conference.
Yeah, Embedded Vision is great. It's really exciting. There's a lot of really interesting companies there. We were lucky enough to be in the Renesas booth presenting with them. Yeah, and at that stage, we were still doing some of the design tests. Like you can see in GroupGets, you can see the updates that we have going on. Yeah, so I don't know what else there is to say. There's definitely quite a bit of interest. It does have a specific application in mind. So, it's not the SOM for everything. But the thing that it does do, it does really well.
Got it. Okay. And, speaking of people who are now like interested in learning about how they can apply it or what, they're interested in testing this, you currently have a call for alpha testers, and that is that link and that information is located on the campaign page. Who would be best to apply for this, and what applications are you interested in learning about from these alpha testers?
Yeah, so I mean, we're open to anyone who really is excited about this, and just come talk to us, I would say. But in terms of who would make a great alpha tester, someone who has a bit of technical competency, so someone who is familiar developing with Yocto Linux and things like that, is going to have a better time with this at the start. Documentation will be like an ongoing thing we're working on, and we're hoping to provide support for this. But if you have an application that is battery-powered computer vision, and you need compute similar to the Jetson Nano, you should consider talking to us. Is the simplest way to say it. In terms of applications, right now we're talking to people with applications in smart cities, sports cameras, wildlife tracking, things like preventative maintenance at factories. There's all kinds of applications, really. I'll talk about a few of them in more detail in a bit.
Yeah, that does bring me to that next question. I mean, I think, like, what applications is this SOM suited to? So just all the applications that you just listed right now, if you can go maybe a little bit more detail with that.
Yeah, so the Smart Cities application, we've partnered with a local company called Novax Industries. They're developing, they're already a North American industry leader in pedestrian safety equipment. So like if you think about speakers that announce when you can walk, or signs that indicate, or buttons you can push, things like that. And we're working with them on a project to basically create a pedestrian tracking solution where, the intelligence is at the edge. So instead of having to send a video stream up to a server and have someone pay, whatever it is, $1,000, $3,000 a month, the idea is to run it at the edge. And do inferencing there. And there's also some benefits around personal privacy and things like that. You don't have to send images of people to a server. And then the low power is also a factor there because of the existing infrastructure that is expected at a pedestrian intersection. They don't have a power budget for running an NVIDIA Xavier. So you have to figure out custom things for that. It basically adds to the complexity of the whole system. There's lots of people in the space, obviously, but I think a solution like this is going to have some unique advantages. And then on the sports camera side, we've worked with a company that's doing applications in the golf space where they want to provide feedback on your golf swing. And things like that. And there's a need for that solution to kind of be not necessarily plugged into power all the time. So having a low power solution where, when somebody's there and present, you can detect them, take that video, and when they're not, you can operate in a low power mode is kind of attractive. And then for wildlife tracking and smart agriculture, we're talking to another company who basically they do bycatch monitoring on fishing boats. So you can imagine a camera system that's installed on a fishing boat, constantly checking to see if there's any bycatch. So like, did they accidentally catch a shark when they're trying to catch salmon, things like that, because sharks are getting to be critically endangered. Right now, they just have like terabytes and terabytes of data. So they have a bunch of hard drives, and they take all those hard drives off the ship at the end and check over those hard drives and say, hey, is there a bycatch here? And someone has to go through manually, and it's a huge to-do. But you can imagine if you can run object detection in a battery-powered way, that the installation of the system is a lot simpler. You don't need, a data center worth of hard drives. And so now you can deploy this technology not just on the largest fishing vessels, but on many more of them. And then the other thing to call out too, right, is these are all applications on the computer vision side for the V2L, but almost in parallel to this, we're going to be releasing a G2L SOM. It's going to be identical. It's going to be, it's also going to be industrially rated for temperature. The carrier board is also industrially rated for temperature, so you can stick these things in a box and have them run even in pretty adverse conditions. The G2L option is just going to be cheaper, and it's going to be great for things like an IoT hub. So, if you're using a current solution for an IoT hub and, you can't order that anymore, if you're using a Raspberry Pi or a BeagleBone Black or something like that, this is going to be a good option for you going forward.
Got it. So, I mean, in summary, this is going to be very useful for, almost all applications. Make it very easy. Like you mentioned, this is for low power energy consumption. So it's just it's going to make it just so much easier to get the information in that accuracy.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are systems out there right now, but in terms of, cost and performance, this is like a generation ahead, really. So it should be interesting.
And like we just said, this is just the pre-launch campaign. There are more updates to come. But given that we do have a pretty solid timeline, we're just going to clarify when to expect and what to expect. So according to the GroupGets campaign page right now, we do have that the alpha units will be available October 25th, with the full-on GroupGets campaign launch starting October 31st, Halloween, my favorite holiday. So what a perfect way to celebrate the day. And the boards, after fulfillment, boards will be ready for delivery by February 1st. Perfect. So those are the dates that we have for now. There again, you can get more updates, provide feedback, or ask any questions within the GroupGets campaign page under the tabs of Discuss and Updates. So Taylor's team, along with himself and his coworker Josh, have already made some updates on there, so you can check that out. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about the campaign launch, or anything else that we should know about?
I think we're planning on doing a Q&A. So if you have questions, post them on the GroupGets page, or shoot them over to GroupGets somehow, or you can reach out to MistyWest on our social channels, or we have a contact form on the website. If you have any questions about it, please let us know. We've already procured components for, I think, 1,000 units. So we have parts on hand for the GroupGets campaign when it goes live. So that's one other thing to call out. And I guess, the other reason you might want to reach out to us is if you or anyone you know is looking for some product development help. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and again, yes. So to Taylor's point, there will be a Q&A that MistyWest will be having. You can have those questions again under the Discuss tab under the pre-launch campaign. So that will just be easier to find. There will be more updates coming out soon. We do also have, again, like Taylor mentioned, MistyWest is on social media. Look for the handle MistyWestVR on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And then, of course, they have their LinkedIn page as well. You can find the GroupGets pre-launch campaign page right now under GroupGets. Look under MistySOM. It's should be available, or it is available right now. And I think that's all I have covered. Thank you so much, Taylor. I really appreciate your time with all this. And again, like this is just the start of a lot more updates, a lot more Q's and A's, and a lot more things to get ready for, at least before those alpha units and the campaign launch in October.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear back from anybody who's interested in the project.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for your time today, Katie.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch up really soon.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.